Hey everyone, welcome to another video. In this one we are draining our pool after Hurricane Ian. This entire area was flooded. I'll show you some footage of that in a second. The water was about up to that cooler in the background there. The most important part about doing this is removing the drain plug in the bottom of the pool. I will show you how to do that. That lets water back in so the water table doesn't pop your pool up out of the ground, which would be horrible. You don't need to wait for a contractor. I'll show you what tools you need and how to clean up the surface of the pool. This is how high the water got. Here's where the pool is that you just saw. You can't even see the hot tub. The hot tub is actually raised up from the pool. You can see my boat back there floating and that tree that fell on the canopy. We have a video coming out of removing that tree. We had a barge come in with a crane and remove that tree. Very, very fortunate. There were so many people in my neighborhood that had water in their homes, and they have so much more of a disaster than we do. We were so fortunate. My heart really goes out to them. Here's just a little bit more footage of the draining, and I'll show you what you need coming up next here. First thing you need is one of these. It's called a mud hog. It probably goes by different names. We call it a mud hog. It's designed to suck mud and water out of a trench. So you could lay pipe in the trench or rebar, whatever. Here in Florida, things fill up with water fast, so it gets quite a bit of use. This one's a rental, and it's really just three parts. The pump itself, the suction hose, which is this side, it's rigid so it won't collapse. It's got a screen on the end of it set for 1/2 inch. The thing will pump anything 1/2 inch. In fact, the biggest problem with this thing is it'll fill up with leaves and stuff, so you got to clear it with your hands. The other side is this PVC flexible hose, about 50 feet long. We were pumping into the canal for the pool portion, and then the hot tub we ended up pumping into the median, which ends up in the canal anyway. But the only thing about the discharge hose that you need to pay attention to is have a nice curve on it, because it will kink, and then any debris will build up there, and it does kind of make a mess if you aren't paying attention. It'll just start to back up the pump. Here we're on the home stretch, getting down to the end here. What we did was just shovel out the muck and the leaves. There was only about 2-3 inches of it. It really was much less than I thought it would be. And to prevent it from just all building up at the deep end, we would shovel it as we went. Here I did a freeze frame. I put some acid on the steps just to kind of test and see how much work is going to be involved in getting the staining out. And it was really, really easy. You can see the steps there really look great, actually. So when you get down to the very, very end, it really takes a couple people to man the hose. You've got to turn the fresh water on, so we're diluting. And then you've also got to scrape the basket on the end, the filter, or the screen, I guess. You got to scrape that constantly because it just starts building up with leaves and muck, and you can hear the pump kind of starving for water. These pumps can run dry, which is great. So you can actually take it up out of the water to clean it with no problem, and then it starts sucking immediately. This pool's about 6.5 feet deep, maybe, so you can see the pump is able to pull that height with no problem. It's just a quick time lapse of draining the hot tub. We did exactly the same thing. And here you can really see that dark black line, which actually kind of disappeared overnight. Here's a view of that. This water that's left in here, it was drained all the way to the bottom. And after removing the plug, this is how high the water came up from the water table. I'll explain that more later. But first, I have these rust stains that I've been meaning to clean. There is a way to do this with water in the pool. You take like a 3-inch PVC pipe with a Fernco on the end of it, like a rubber fitting, and you shove that down against the pool bottom, fill up the pipe with acid, and you can accomplish basically the same thing. Since the pool is drained, I went ahead and took advantage of it. You just pour acid on the rust stains, scrub them in, and repeat until the rust stain is gone. Works amazing. This one was particularly stubborn. It's probably like a bolt or something that was laying in there based on the shape of the rust, but got it completely gone, and you can see here in the morning, it looks just fine. The rest of this process was a combination of light pressure washing and a little bit more acid. This is a 1,000 or 1,100 pound pressure washer, electric. Doesn't produce a lot of pressure at all. You've got to be careful not to blow out too much of the sand that holds the pebbles together in the Pebble Tech. A few spots there where I thought a little bit more acid would help. And the end result is I'm completely happy with the surface. Silver lining is it's going to look better than it did before the flood, which, hey, that's really great. Here's just a little bit of the final time lapse of getting it completely clean and sucking out all of the water. It's very satisfying, actually. Here we are after about 6-7 hours of pumping and a couple nights of cleaning. We are finally ready for water, pretty much. As I mentioned, I can't remember if I mentioned, but the pool equipment is trashed. That has to be replaced. So it's going to be a couple days before we need to even concern ourselves with filling it up with water. But the pool is in a stable condition where it could stay like this indefinitely with no risk of it popping out of the ground. And I'll show you that here in a second. I did decide to go ahead and remove the lights because I'm going to order replacement bulbs that are LED. I need to do some research on that because I certainly don't want to buy something that's just going to fail down the road. And this is the water table. So water has come up to this level, which coincidentally is about the level of the canal. I don't know if that is an accurate correlation, but it's pretty similar to the level of the canal. And if this water table was higher, say, up here, this pool could pop out of the ground. With just this little bit of water table, there's no risk, but it's always safe to remove that plug anyway. I'll show you that in a second. But I wanted to show you the surface here. There is nothing that I'm really concerned about that you'll see through the water. All the rust stains are totally removed. And this area here, you can see it in the camera, but you cannot see it without looking in the camera. So once the pool is full of water, I have no concern at all. So here's these drain plugs. Evidently, when they put in the PebbleTech and the drains, you can see in that right-hand one, there is some PebbleTech under there. So I'm not really sure what the process is. They may put some PebbleTech in there to filter the groundwater. It may just be overflow. I have no idea, but these two drains are connected. The reason for that is if a child gets stuck on one or the other, the pump suction will transfer and the child could get loose. The drain in this one, we couldn't get out. I think I mentioned that. So we took the drain out of this one. And it simply just lets groundwater come up into the pool. And if we got a heavy rain and the water table came up higher, it would prevent any kind of, risk of popping the pool out of the ground, which would be epically bad. All right, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe. Next video is going to be removing this tree from our canopy. Had a barge come out. That was a very fortunate process. As far as this project, until I get a new pool pump, this pool's gonna sit like this. See you next time.